Before I begin, this, let me say to my dear beloved members of the conspiratorium, my mistake. Through error, through lunacy, I put 8 p.m. versus 8 a.m. And some of you more eagle-eyed individuals realize my erratum necessarily, and I apologize for that. Mi dispiace, lo siento, amici. Ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing something right now that is a great source of pride on my part. A great source of pride where I join the legions of individuals like you and recognize the fact that we are the tip of the spear in not only new media, but in new citizen involvement, new crowdsourcing, new focus. Our analysis and the analyses of our brothers and sisters in the various conspiratorium clerisy, as we have been called, embrace it. Whatever they call you, embrace it. Have been superb. The levels of discussion, specifically regarding Diddy or didn't he, is beyond anything I could ever imagine. The information provided as to the Key Bridge collapse has been next to none. I think the Assange part of it, I don't think we need to uncover that as much, though it's certainly a critical story. But the bridge, but number one, Diddy is so great. The individual citizen and civilian journalism that we've seen is without peer. As I speak to you regarding this, as you and I and all of us speak to this tip of the iceberg, tip of the spear in the war against predation and the like, the conventional size, the conventional bought and sold corporate media, especially, let me just say this, especially Fox News, especially as I was just, for some reason, I didn't know I was following her. Harris Faulkner, whom I have nothing against. They're actually speaking about this Ronna McDaniel MSDNC story as though it is of any substance. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I cannot believe what I am seeing. I can't. It absolutely, positively, without a doubt, blows my mind, as we cannot get enough of a subject matter, which is so critical, so important, so absolutely relevant as to the predation of children. I don't know what to say. How can anybody miss this? How can anyone miss what we were saying? How? How can anyone in the news business not see what's going on? We're going to be talking about that, dear friends. We're going to be talking about the bridge. Oh, what this? The independent, the brave journalism that we have seen. Please note at the top of your link, there is a new channel called Lionel Legal. And yesterday we had the kind of an unofficial, random, kind of a live, kind of a beta test, and it worked great. So make sure you subscribe to that, because that is going to be purely 100% legal only. But first, before we begin, let's talk about something so critical, and that is specifically the world of emergency food. Let's talk about a very serious subject, emergency food. That's right, emergency food. Now, I know at first blush it's difficult for most people to think about something that they just take for granted, ever reaching, emergency status. We're used to stores always being open, deliveries always made, no supply chain disasters, no ransomware catastrophes, shutting down gas stations, no trucking strikes, no war, no protests from farmers, no mysterious Chinese weather balloons, nothing catastrophic in terms of weather. Well, that can't happen to us, right? And I understand it's a defense mechanism that we have because the idea of ever not being able to eat or locate food is seemingly incomprehensible to most people. But think about this. It's not. That's why it's time for you to go to my site, preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com has the deal of deals for you. Take it as a starter set, an introduction set. You've been putting off emergency food for too long. Some people still have a thing about prepping as though prepping for emergency is foolish. Now, right now, you can save $200 on a 3-month emergency supply kit. This is unbelievable. 22 varieties with a 25-year shelf life, 25 years, 2,000 calories a day in 6 rugged buckets, 120 pounds of food. Could you go 3 months, 90 days if stores closed? Be honest. Could you go a week without any trips to the store? I don't think so. I'm not talking about having stuff in your cabinet. I'm not talking about banana chips and jerky. I'm talking about food, real food. So go right now to preparewithlionel.com. This moment right now, preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. Go now and thank me later. Again, I cannot tell you how proud I am of being a part of a world, this ecosystem, as the kids call it, of people who are independent. These are independent folks, people who are of their own volition and the like, who are looking at what's going on. And I love the fact that we are very proudly looking at a situation at our speed, based upon our interest level, and nobody can tell us otherwise. Again, let me remind you, please, at the very top of this link, you will see this wonderful piece that deals with this brand new link. It is so wonderful. Let me see this. Hang on a minute. Regarding the new Lionel legal. Now let's go through this a couple of things. First of all, as you know, in case you've just tuned in, thank you. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the like button. Likes are critical, absolutely critical, without peer. Okay. There is a difference between people living debauched lifestyles, people living in cesspools of sexual licentiousness, concupiscent, that's a good word, lifestyles and the like. That's not against the law. We might agree with their morality. We might not like what they're doing. We might feel that for whatever reason, their lifestyles are not Christian or irreligious, or whatever and you're entitled to that. That is not what I'm interested in. That's not it. I'm not even interested in cases where people have been duped and lured by horrible and nefarious folks in the business who take kids and their dreams and dangle them in front of them, luring them into believing something about their dreams. Their dreams. This is what we're going to do for you. Play your cards with me. Sign with my record label. Sign with my group. No. Sorry, that's awful. That's not against the law. I'm not also talking about defamation and things like that. I'm not. We're not discussing that. We're talking about what amounts to trafficking, and we're talking about the federal government all of a sudden sending messages out, messages that we cannot figure out why. Why all of a sudden is there this desire to make sure to how do we say this? How do we make sure that these people know that we're after them? That's what the That's what the feds are doing. That's what the feds are doing. Understand this? That's what the feds are doing. Um, Now, here's what's important. This is the critical thing. There are groups of folks who are involved in other aspects of this world who spend their time doing incredible work. Hang on a minute. Doing incredible work going through this. First and foremost, I never knew anything about Diddy or any of these people until now. I never understood. I really didn't. And let me tell you what happened right now. Remember all of this. What changes everything more than anything is Cat Williams. Now, when I tell people this, I can immediately, how do I say this? I can immediately tell from people that they know not what I'm talking about, that they know nothing about the folks, or they think, and I'm going to say something, and please do not take this the wrong way, and please do not read into this, okay? But I think you know what I'm talking about. There are folks who believe that the world of hip hop and rap are a bunch of insignificant black artists, that the world of hip hop is, that music that we don't like. And by the way, this is not racist per se. It's always been like that. People always look at race at music like, well, I don't care about that. That's that, Alice Cooper from our generation. Well, that's that. Well, that's that. I don't have time for that crazy long hair stuff. Okay. Hip hop, to remind you, happens to be one of the most important and critical pieces of music and entertainment real estate there is. Second of all, how they have been used and coordinated by Obama and others, it's being unraveled. It is so interesting. The site, and by the way, when I say this, I can't help but notice this, but when I say this is the most important. There are people who are doing such incredible jobs you might not have ever looked at. But one of them is the breaker of narratives, Dom Lucre, Lucre. Lucre. I'm using Lucre as the Latin Lucre for this. I think he was on with I don't know who he was talking or whatever. This kind of a dreadlocked whatever. Absolutely, positively, seemingly endless with video clips with references to things about him. Were you aware of this one? And by the way, he also cites this. Were you aware that in April 6th of last year, the Fugees, or Fugi, as some people, a friend of mine says, the Fugees, star Michael or Michelle, was revealed, according to him, as being an FBI informant during the Leonardo DiCaprio's testimony against a money laundering case involving China. Do you remember all of this? It's one of the most interesting cases available. Go and follow this. It shows you this level of Jamie Foxx, Leonardo DiCaprio. This one, this is from Entertainment Tonight. This is when he testified. There's all things about Tupac's death, and this is absolute gangster stuff. Let me explain something to you. This is gangster, real gangster, real gangster. Remember the Smith-Mundt Act, how Obama made it legal for the media to purposely lie to the American folk? This is an absolute red pill. And another one I'm finding who's fascinating that others bring up is this And by the way, when Red Pill or somebody, I don't know who these people are, but when they, for example, show here's 50 Cent or 50, he's talking about this weird attempts at what appears to be an overt kind of grooming and the like. And not only this feminization, and let me also just say something. There is nothing. You got to be careful of this. There are folks who have been saying and suggesting that there has been an attempt to quote make people gay. Now you know and I know that doesn't make any sense. There is no such thing as making someone gay. And others might say, "Oh, that's homophobia. You're concerned over the fact that the allegations, the untoward allegations, the untoward and uninvited overtures were involving gay sex. So you're homophobic." Stop that nonsense. There were people like Fiddy and Kat who have said things. I call them Kat, by the way, just so that we're a first name basis. Who are saying things like, "You're not going to turn me gay." There is this. It's listen to Usher, listen to Bieber, listen to what's going on. Now, remember, of what we've said, I'm going to say this again to you. I'm going to say this again. And you always have to ask yourself the question. This is not necessarily illegal. This is not illegal. If somebody wants to be a gay Lothario, that's not exactly news in Hollywood. But when you have young people, one of these days we're going to go back and look what happened to Menudo. Anytime you have boy, where would I go? I would go right off the bat. Any place there are kids. We used to have boy bands. What's that Korean group? I know nothing about them, but that's my antennae go up immediately when you have young boys and girls, but young boys being in the presence of millions and perhaps even billions of dollars. No. And this goes also to sports. Do you remember during the Joe Paterno thing? Do you remember all of that? Do you? And what's interesting about this, the institutionalization. Look what we learned and we found out about WWE, about Vince McMahon, about others. Stop. Is it against the law? Not necessarily. It can be untoward. It can be rude. It can be a lot of things. Is it against the law? Not necessarily. So always remember this. I want you to always have the right mentality, the right thought. It might be despicable. Remember, let me also say something. Just because something is not against the law doesn't mean it's not morally despicable or problematic or what have you. I want to go a step further. Let me explain something to you. If I am in the business, if I am in show business, and I get my hooks into your daughter or you, and your daughter could be 25 years old, and I lure her into my grasp and ply her with promises and lies and distortions, do you not think that is actionable? Do you not think that is actionable in terms of some type of misrepresentation? Let me give you an example of something. And by the way, this would be civil, not criminal. Have you heard of justifiable reliance? Promissory estoppel? Classic case, Hammer against Sidway. First week of contracts class, first week, somebody is, it's really about consideration, but somebody says, "I'll give you this if you stop smoking." The kid stops smoking, and then he reneges on the deal, and he says, "What about that? Was there consideration, the forbearance and the problem? But if I get you to do something, if I say, I will pay you, and you come out and if you mow my lawn and you do this," aside from it being a breach of oral contract, but sometimes if you justifiably rely on something, I am estopped. ESTOP. There's estoppel and pay and these others, but I am estopped. So the idea of misrepresentation, justifiable reliance in contract law, there's a thing about we don't want meat. So there are some people, and by the way, if prostitution and assignation, and by the way, I keep saying by the way, I'm saying by the way, they're trying to destroy this in terms of removing the laws and prohibitions against um, uh, sex work and the like. But if I'm paying, if I'm getting somebody to do something, I think it turns into prostitution, or it turns into something else. So nobody has ever even thought about going there, unless Donald Trump did it. Now, if Donald Trump did it, they care all about Stormy, Dusty Saddles, or whatever the hell her name is. This sleazy, skanky slattern, this courtesan, this chanteuse wannabe, this Meretrix, this virago, this shrew, this Grimalkin, this Malkin or Grimalkin. Interesting. Anyhow, if it were Trump, oh, did you pay? Did you pay for her? Is it hush money? They're doing NDAs all the time. And Cat Williams is part of this. You also must understand that there is this group of people, there's like this entertainment mafia that the left has had, that has been acting with impunity since the beginning of time. They have different levels. They have the dupes, they have the idiots, they have the Rob Reiners and the Bette Midlers and the Barbara Streisands. Those are people who pretty much are involved in, at least ostensibly, in just promoting the idea. Then you have the entertainment news, Rachel Maddow, MSDNC, that cadre, that consortium of folks, they are part of that as well. They are the propagandists. Again, nothing illegal, but that's this other level of this. And let me also remind you, look how everybody, even National Review, cares so much about this. I don't even know what to tell you. This nonsense about Ronna McDaniel was on MSDNC. Who cares? Who cares? I would love one day to barge onto the set, theoretically, of Fox News and say, do any of you frighten people with that looks like they're an open cockpit, like they're pulling about 10 G's? Do any of you geniuses have any interest whatsoever in what's going on? Not Diddy, but what this represents? No. Do any of you have any interest in what's happening regarding the state of propaganda and the like? No. You're worried about this kind of an inside baseball stuff. You know what they care about in Washington, believe it or not? Morning Joe. Morning Joe. Something tells me, from what little I've seen, I'm no expert. There's a lot of folks saying there's trouble in paradise there. I'm just saying, I don't wish that on anybody, but they were to be, little side note, they were to be the belle of the ball. Understand something. Remember this. They wanted more than anything to be a part of Trump's team. They were talking about Trump media. They were talking about Trump this. And I mean to tell you, they courted Trump in 2016 like you cannot believe. Remember, Joe Scarborough was a conservative. Now he's not. He did this show called Scarborough Country, which I used to be on. It was the corniest thing ever. I mean, it was real corn-pone conservatism. You know, Scarborough Country. Remember, they had this noise. And there was this drone shot before they had drones over some town, over some city. And there's the steeple, and there's the church, and there's the town square. And it was so Mayberry-esque, corny, corn-pone. Basically, Trump told them, pound sand, beat it. Well, they got upset. So then he hooked up with this, literally at first, meager Brzezinski. And everybody knew they were doing it. Everybody and anybody knew they were doing it. Didn't matter to anybody. They kind of looked the other way. And then finally they got together. And they try to portray themselves as the belle of the ball, that they were this couple, this Mary Matlin. Well, no, because Mary Matlin was technically a Republican. Anyway, that's a bullshit story. And it just went nowhere. Vanity Fair tried to say, here they are. There's Meager on top of a piano with her leg. I mean, oh my God. Anyway, they only play to a very, there's a DC group that loves that, and also CNN. You go to any kind of office, whatever, Morning Joe in DC, they love that. But don't be surprised if one day, I'm just saying, I'm getting radar. I'm hearing things, but I don't wish that on anybody. Because remember, whatever they show you is a lie. And let me tell you about you great people like Linda and Down and Chloe and Sandra and all of you folks. You know that you can spot insincerity a mile away. Okay? You can spot it a mile away. It's critical for people to understand that that's the way you are. You know it, and I know it. So that's that. Now, we also have something which is really, really the people that I find the most interesting. Oprah, Tyler Perry, Steve Harvey, the usual suspects. They're over here. They're the accepted, the sheep dipped, so to speak, for lack of a better word. But over here, you've got Monique, and you've got people like Cat Williams. Cat Williams, now I don't know where he is, but I would be all over this. They told this Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay, back off. It just got serious. Don't be surprised. We'll see how independent. I think that kind of surprised people. I don't think they knew what Shannon Sharp. I think that one blew up. I don't think you're going to be seeing. If they keep an eye on this, if he says, "Oh hell no, I'm going to be the Alex Jones of blackness," or whatever you want to, I don't know what he wants to call it. See what happens. I doubt very seriously. I think they're going to say, no way. You like your NFL gigs? You like your football gigs? Yeah, cut this out. Don't go there with this. Because the Cat Williams blew everything up. And for years, people were saying, I've been telling you this. The feminization of black men, the emasculation of men, grooming, men being groomed, where these predators go after. And let me also tell you something. When you see, there was one yesterday. I sent him videos to a compilation that blows my mind. Justin Bieber, some little girl, Usher, when they were kids. I mean, this guy was just, again, remember, may not be against the law. It may not be against the law. And right at the same time that Quiet on Set came out. Absolutely critical. So let's do this. Let's layer this, okay? Look at this from a layered point of view. Predation, okay? Predation has always been a part of everything, whether it's sports, whether it's Hollywood. I told you from the days of Louis Mayer and Jack Warner and you name it. I saw something one time, and I'm going to tell you again. I saw something that was so important, so critical. It was this fascinating picture, and it wasn't meant to be this, but this was, I guess, in the 40s, 50s, maybe. Probably 50s. Young girls from small town USA, from whatever, getting off of the bus with a look of non-airbrushed wholesomeness. The girl next door. They might have fooled you, but it was a different look. Not like this look today. We have women today who don't even look like, I don't even know what they look like. I do not know what they look like. I don't, and I can't, I don't know what's happened. I don't know where this notion of wholesomeness. Hugh Hefner was a degenerate. Okay. Don't ever think that he was he did some wonderful things with Playboy, but deep down inside, he was a degenerate. Illegal, not necessarily, but still a degenerate. And what he did, though, he says, I'm from the 40s. And the initial, when Playboy started, and then even later on, their thing was the girl next door. It was a different time. They weren't skeevy, skanky. It was different. Why is she playing volleyball by herself? I have no idea. But there she is, smiling, a little ribbon in her hair. And this was his point of view. Later on came Penthouse. Penthouse, rougher. Bob Guccione, remember that? Penthouse, one of their favorite shots, I didn't know this until somebody said years ago, was having a plant or something between you, kind of obscured, to give you the impression that it was voyeurism, right? You were behind this and it was between you and the subject. It was weird, different take. And then Hustler, forget it, all bets are off. But still, they did not look like automatons. They did not look, this was before plastic surgery, but not like today. Okay. So these girls got off the bus, and there was Louis Mayer, and I keep saying Louis Mayer, I don't know if he did it particularly, but that time, and they were like wolves. They were like looking at that lion on the Serengeti who's got to feed their cubs, and they see this little gazelle with kind of a limp, and it says, that's the one I want. Because that's what predators do. They look for the weak one. They look. This is they know. If you could somehow. Well, let me finish the thought. These people getting off. So this casting couch stuff has been around forever. Remember the movie Dexter? Dexter was a serial killer, right? Dexter was a serial killer who worked for the police and helped people find serial killers. If you could take the information and the knowledge that I guess you call them pedophiles. There's all these different names. You can pick your favorite one, but predators. If you could take what they know and somehow put it to good, I don't know how you would do this. They're experts on child behavior. They know weakness. They know one of the things, which is the most important thing for a kid to always know, is self-assurance, but also self-esteem and confidence. Confidence, self-esteem, that together breeds a sense of get your hands off me. I'm special. You don't do that to me. That may sound like not much to you, but to a kid, no, it means everything. Everything. They can tell. They can target people. They know exactly who is and who is not the how do I say this? Who is and who is not weak, slow, unassured. Now, you take these people, and they also, let me tell you something. Watch old Diddy. Now, again, he's not charged with this. I can't say enough, but there's a picture of him with Justin Bieber and all these young kids, and he's saying things, and there's a sense of, I can do whatever I want. Let me also throw something at you. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, named him or gave him the key to the city, right? Key to the city. There he is. And there he was on one particular day driving through Manhattan, or Manhattan, as they say. By the way, I need at least 7,000 likes. I know they may seem like a lot to you, but please, it's the lifeblood. It's the lifeblood of what we do, and I thank you for that. But there was Diddy, and Diddy was doing this stuff, and at least he was driving around, and he was with his key to the city, and coming on this thug. The guy started off kind of like in parochial school and private school, and then took on this kind of a thug demeanor or whatever, trying to fit in. But Eric Adams was seized along with his fundraiser, his assistant, by the FBI. Open and notorious. They grabbed his phones. They grabbed this. Nobody was arrested. Same thing with Diddy. Nobody was arrested. Why did they do that? And you and I can guess, but isn't that strange? When they, why are they doing this? You went to a magistrate. you had the Southern District of New York, you had a search warrant issued, you had all of these things seized by whatever it was. You had, how do I say this? You had this information used or whatever it was. And then nobody was charged. Why? Why is that the way that, how do you even explain that? Doesn't make any sense to me. It's the oddest thing in the world. It's weird. It's strange. It doesn't, I don't understand it. Now, as Candace Owens, by the way, who's going through her own, she's going through a very interesting take. And by the way, I only find it interesting because our opinion is under attack. Look, Ben Shapiro, whoever his handlers are, they can fire her or whatever it wants. But if you don't like what Candace Owens says, hang up, so to speak. Just don't listen to her. I don't know where this comes from. I don't. And also, did you see, are any of you familiar with, and I'm listening to this and I'm wondering why the hatchet job, and maybe I'm speaking a little bit, this Huberman story, the New Yorker's going after, against, this Huberman hit piece. I don't know. This is the neurologist or whatever the hell he is. What is this about? And the reason is these people are so frightened. They don't understand what's happening here. This is one of those things which is so interesting. There's so much going on. Now, that's that. As to the bridge, the reporting that has been so interesting, and I don't know, again, I find that interesting. You're not going to hear anything on Fox News. They're too busy talking about Ronna McDaniel and MSDNC. What was fascinating is Lara Logan talking about what she believes, what other crowdsourced folks are looking at, the pilot's licenses of this, and breaking this down like you cannot believe. It is fascinating. And the fellow Brandon Scott, the young mayor, what is he? He's 39 years old. He's like, get out of the way. Let us handle this. We don't want you saying something inadvertent. Pete Booty Giggity Giggity issued some kind of a quote tweet. What's this about? I don't know. But there's a lot of folks saying this doesn't make any sense. They're pursuing it. Is Harris Faulkner doing this? No. Is anybody at Fox doing this? No. They just, because they're almost told, like, don't go there. The things that interest people the most, they're not interested in. Do you understand what's happening? And let me also say something before I forget, my friends. They want you to think that Julian Assange is a bad guy. And the reason why is simply this. The powers that be want you to think that journalism has limitations, that journalists cannot get away with doing things that benefit society. Journalists, by their very nature, deal with stuff that is scary and dirty and dark and dank. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think you do. Now let's take a brief breather 1 second and talk about our great friend, the inimitable, the ineffable, the one, the only, the great, the absolute great My Pillow. I have my bolster set up. We are a My Pillow family, and you can be too. Don't forget mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. Wonderful, wonderful. I sound like Lawrence Welk. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it's time yet again to hail and salute our great friends at mypillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you get a free gift. No purchase necessary. I know, a free gift. Gifts are free. Okay, it's a tautology, so sue me. But listen to me and listen carefully. What are we talking about here? Down comforters, flannel sheets, Giza Dream bed sheets, My Pillow 2.0 body pillows, waffle blankets, couch and recliner pillows, sheets, slippers, percales. I'm not even done yet. Towels, quilts, bedspreads, mattresses, mattress covers, mattress toppers, linens, kitchen towels, bathrobes, pet blankets, bolster pillows, name it. Items to help you luxuriate and relax. And their monster sellers, slippers, my slippers, slip-ons, moccasins. Think about it. What do they do at My Pillow? What's their main goal? To make things real soft, plush, real comfy, or comfy as I say it. How perfect. So here's the link right now. Go to mypillow.com/Lionel. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel or /Lionel, or call 800-645-4965. 800-645-4965. And watch how fast our good friend Mike Lindell answers the phone. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, simply and absolutely the best. Friends, let me also give you something a little different take, which I find interesting. And I throw this out to you. And like I said, because you're never going to hear anybody anywhere say anything about this, because that would be against the rules. But this is from Lara Logan. And by the way, Lara Logan is one of those names like Lara, Laura. I think Lara is Lara. And she is fascinating, and she has been the subject of her own, but she's interesting. And when I take something, just so that you know, when I take something that somebody says, I listen to it. I take it cum grano salis, with a grain of salt. I listen to it. I see what they're saying, and I don't necessarily believe it just because I kind of like where it's going. I don't necessarily do that. All right. But what I'm doing is I listen to it. Let me just read this one particular piece. It's from this one tweet. She says, multiple intel sources, Baltimore bridge collapse was a, quote, an absolutely brilliant strategic attack on U.S. critical infrastructure. Most likely cyber and our intel agencies know it. Again, Lara Logan, not me. In information warfare terms, they just divided the U.S. along the Mason-Dixon line, exactly like the Civil War. Interesting. Second busiest strategic roadway in the nation for hazardous material, now down for 4 to 5 years, which is how long they say it will take to recover. Bridge was built specifically to move hazardous material, fuel, diesel, propane gas, nitrogen, highly flammable materials, chemicals, and oversized cargo that cannot fit in the tunnels. That supply chain now is crippled. Make no mistake, she writes. There was an extraordinary attack in terms of planning, timing, and execution, so says Logan. The two critical components on that bridge are the two load-bearing pylons on each end closest to the shore. They are bigger, thicker, and deeper than anything else. They are the anchor points, and they knew that hitting either one of them would be a fatal wound to the integrity of the bridge. Now, let me tell you what people are going to be saying. They're going to say immediately, no, that's not true because, well, that's something we just don't like. We don't like it. It makes us feel bad. We don't particularly care for that. That is the first thing I would say. Okay, good. So tell me, Mr. and Mrs. Army Corps of Engineering or whatever it is, tell me why this doesn't make sense. Tell me why this is incorrect. Tell me why it would be foolish or stupid or idiotic to believe this. That's all. Tell me why. Once you give me something, you do know that in law, you have expert witnesses. Expert witnesses are people who have a degree of knowledge regarding a subject matter that you can and may employ to use or to use their particular expertise. Give you a weird example. In a plain old DUI case one time, we didn't have anything. The defendant didn't take breath. He didn't blow. He didn't breath, blood, field sobriety test. No, nothing. No admissions. We had nothing. But who did we have as a witness? The bartender. The bartender was the greatest witness anybody ever saw because imagine this. Sir, state your name for the record. Have you ever had the opportunity to observe somebody under the influence of alcohol? Yes. How many times? Oh, I don't know. And he figured it out over the years. He's been a bartender for 30 years. He works 8 hours. And he came up with like 40,000 people and then 10% are drunk. Anyway, the number was incredible. It's the most devastating person ever. If there's a tugboat operator, if there's somebody who, I used to work on a bridge, or I used to work here, or I know that area. I know what's going on. I know Diddy. I know this person. Look at the folks who are now. You're going to be seeing Diddy's. I'm combining the two subjects, but Diddy's uh, um, security, neighbors, whatever. You put this together, and you're seeing, wow, this thing is just blossoming. And that's why they cannot let this get out of control. So they have got to go after Assange and kill the messenger. They're going to call you a nut. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're an idiot. You're a lunatic. Listen to Harris Faulkner. She's talking about Ronna McDaniel. She's talking about Chuck Todd. And they're worried about something that nobody, repeat, nobody in their right mind cares about one way or the other. The real question is, my beef with her is she never did a goddamn thing to help Trump. So you know what? Good for her. Get rid of her. I got a beef too, but I don't care about that. You're trying to, as you would say, distract. You love this. Distraction. You can only distract somebody who is able to pick up, for example, it's hard to distract somebody who, I'm sorry to say this, who's deaf or blind. How do you distract them? They can't see, they can't hear. It doesn't take much to distract the American people. It takes a lot to distract you, but it takes nothing. The American people aren't paying attention. I guarantee you, they will not understand how things work. They don't understand Assange. They don't understand it. And let me tell you something, and you listen to me like you've never listened before. If you think that the left has agents in MSDNC and others, I promise you, they've also got Fox. Rupert Murdoch has been a double agent since the beginning of time. Don't believe this nonsense about, well, they were a conservative station. Great. No, that was Roger Ailes. Rupert Murdoch is after one thing. Money? No. This. Now, let me tell you something. He will say, that's why he turned his back on everybody with the Dominion suits. Doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about election integrity. The sons don't. He doesn't. He just wants to get married, all these people, and do this business. He's a guy who just wants to be a part of this world that, I don't know, he just kind of wants to do his thing. Fine. They don't want us to succeed. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? You were on the front line of this. I'm going to say something, and you're going to think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. You were on the front line, the battle line, the front line, the ground zero. There is something else that's happening right now. Annie Jacobson is making a very, very, very important move regarding nuclear war. Now, to an extent, even though I like her a lot, she's a little bit of a gatekeeper when it comes to UFOs. Okay, the stuff I hear her say doesn't matter. The best voice of regarding UFOs, the best, is Joe Rogan. How many of you fine people have been taught and been told and believe that the notion of UFO talk is crazy? It's crazy talk. Little green men flying around. Tucker's never taken it seriously. He's also a bit of a gatekeeper because he doesn't really come forward. He doesn't really expose. Has a few people on, but doesn't. I don't. Because this happens to be one of the most important issues that we as human beings want, as the true those of us who are explorers, and to explore people from other planets and other areas that invade and inhabit our world. So anyway, she's very good, by the way, and nobody wants to talk about what's happening. And one of the things nobody wants to talk about is how we are putting Vladimir Putin, pushing him. There are some sick people out there who want a nuclear war. You're not hearing about that. That's why our speech and our method is so important. We may not look like much. I may look like baggage handler at Air Morocco or somebody from whatever. We know better than that. There are people who are sitting on beds. There are people who have done some of the most incredible subject matter regarding everything from Israel to Ukraine to whatever. And these are folks who, you might not hear about them, and they will do everything in their power to disparage them. That's why they're going after Assange. They hate you. They want to compartmentalize you, and they want to put you aside. aside Assange. You do the math. They want to push us, but we're not going to do that. We are not going to do this. And the best thing going in our favor, like him or not, trust him, not as far as I can throw him, but so far I'm very impressed, Elon Musk. And the people who are you're going to see a reemergence. You're going to see a reemergence out of nowhere of people like Alex Jones and others. You're also going to see something which is critical. There are people who, for the longest time, were sidelined completely when it came to Palestine, not Israel, Palestine. Finkelstein and others, and people who were considered kind of like, I don't know, kind of rabble rousers, Blumenthal, Max Blumenthal, and isn't that Sydney, whatever. These people are going to win Pulitzers one day, because what they want you to know is that you live in the world, and they want you to think that everything that goes on in Fox News is the world. They want you to believe that. Remember, Fox News and MSDNC, they're working together, two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin. They are in the same fishbowl, divided by, remember when you had a fishbowl, you had that little, oh, look, there's a little diver, and then we had a little water, oxygen source. Oh, look, it's the same fishbowl. It's La La Land. And they do everything in their power to not have you understand that the Republican Party is a waste of time. They don't do a damn thing. Nothing. Nothing. And they sure as hell don't want you to understand that they're going to steal this election again from you. Let me stop right there. I'm throwing things at you which you cannot believe. Now, understand something. Remember a couple of things. First and foremost, you must be subscribed right there. Hit Lionel Legal. I am going to be doing a lot of stuff. I'm going to be doing things like more live streams, more. I'm enjoying we're going to have more lives during the day. Make sure you're subscribed to this. Make sure you're hitting the bell. Make sure you're alive. I'm doing more live stream. There's a different energy I'm liking. I enjoy it better than anything else. So I'm going to be doing more of this. I also have Lionel Legal, which is going to be legal issues only for the most part. Everything right now, one way or another, is legal, but legal, constitutional, and the like, and what they mean. I explained to you the notion about Assange and Bartnicki and why he, under Ellsberg and all these other cases, Pentagon Papers, why he's a journalist. On this channel, we go more in terms of kind of like a little bit of both, certainly the legal, and there's carryover to be sure, but ours is a different story. Okay? There are many, many subdirectories of this. And I promise you one thing, I'm never going to lie to you. If you hear me say something, it's because I believe it. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but I'm never going to say something I'm not going to pull a Piers Morgan, who just wants to put people on to yell, these voluble, fatuous, boring people screaming and yelling at people. I don't know anyway, God bless him. Let other people do their stuff. That's not what we do. So remember, the bridge story, follow Lara Logan. Gateway pun, listen to what they're saying. Dismiss it. Read what she says. Say, okay, anybody want to dispute it? Yeah, that's BS. Why? Let people refute what she's saying. As far as Assange goes, remember what I'm trying to tell you. They're trying to shut him down, because if they shut him down, they shut down what we're doing. And also, it's very critical. This Diddy story is the tip of the iceberg. Speaking of the tip of the iceberg, Sparky says the great political commentator Garland Nixon, who's retired from Maryland Police, used to pilot a hovercraft on Chesapeake Bay. I wonder if he's responding to the Key Bridge disaster. Well, you know what's happening, Sparky, and thank you for this. Isn't it interesting that there is somebody so critical right now who, lo and behold, the Secretary of Transportation, who deliberately is nowhere to be found. They told Booty Giggity, they told him, we don't want you. We picked you because we wanted you to look this Alfred E. Newman klutz. You and your husband can sit there and do maternity leave on purpose. We're going to be doing a lot of infrastructure stuff. East Palestine, get rid of him. You got a problem with that, booty? Nope, I'll do it. Good. You're going to be the inept one. You understand it? You're going to absorb the energy and then not do anything. Because there's one thing that they never talk about in the left world, in the shadow government: infrastructure. We'll talk about others. We'll build bridges and piers and do things on Israel, which is, different story. They do that like that. Here, it takes years. How long will it be? I guarantee you, if they said, watch how fast we put together a bridge. And by the way, world, this is the United States of America. We have the best of everything. Watch how they sit around. And that's going to sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there. Garland Nixon hasn't posted a video since the collapse. Sparky, I'm going to spend some time investigating this Garland Nixon. What a wonderful name. Garland Nixon. Okay. I'm telling you. Let me say this again. Assange has got no credit. Remember when Trump at first said, hey, that's great, I'm going to pardon him. And then Pompeo got a hold of him and he said, they were talking about openly assassinating him. They don't want independent. Remember, very simple. The reason why he's off the hook is very simple. He's a journalist. He merely posted something that Chelsea Manning brought to WikiLeaks, theoretically. He didn't do it. 2 cases, Bartnicki against Vopper, Supreme Court, and also the Pentagon Papers case. Clear. Did they go after New York Times? No. Nixon wanted to. Did they go after Washington Post? Nope. But they're going to go after him because he's different. WikiLeaks. That's today's. He is the patron saint of journalism. Okay? And the rest of the world, see, what you don't understand is the rest of the world is now what's important. In the old days, we didn't care what Europe thought. We really didn't care. We do now. It's a different world, my friend. Now, another thing, too, is I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go right this moment also to Mrs. L. Mrs. L's channel. She is doing the best stuff. You have no idea. And I'm going to say something. You know how good she is by the number of people who just go through her feed and go through her stuff and take it. She scours the news better than anyone. Follow her at Lynn's Warriors on X or Twitter. I call it Twitter. Lynn's Warriors, okay? Lynn's Warriors at LYNNS Warriors, no apostrophe, or on X at Lynn's_Warriors. When it comes to this, and it's all intertwined. It's all of it. All of this is intertwined. Diddy, kids, the entertainment industry. This has been going on forever. This has been going on, and then level of predation. They want this thing to go away, but deliberately or not, for whatever reason, the government decided they were going to go after this guy, make a big stink, ruffle feathers, stir up the mess, and you got to ask yourself why. And I have been going to hip hop sources, black entertainment sources, the rude some of the best journalism ever. And listen to what I mentioned, Dom Luker and others. Look at it. It's not his opinion. It's the videos he puts out. It's the information. I don't really go for people's opinions unless it'll kind of send me into a different direction. But that's about it. Sparky says Garland's dad was a longshoreman, so he may be familiar with the area. By the way, he usually has a live video every Wednesday morning with Scott Ritter. We'll see. Scott Ritter, by the way, Judge Napolitano, Alistair Crook, The Gray Zone, even Katie Halper, Useful Idiots, Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal, and Finkelstein, who was just nowhere to be found. All these voices are coming out of nowhere, posing a counter to this. Also, Al Jazeera, Middle East Eye, and others. You can't believe it. And did you see what is happening? What is happening? Have you been watching this, Spark? I know you have. To Rabbi Shmuley. Is he okay? Is he like just coming apart at the seams? I don't understand the yelling. Same thing goes for Junk Yogurt. and these other folks. I don't understand the yelling. You're not. Remember, is it a Chinese proverb that said, "You never have to fear the loudest man in the room." All right, dear friends. So don't forget one more time. Make sure you're signed up here to Lionel Nation and sign up to Lionel Legal. I'm going to be doing some lives. It just may pop up on it. It may be, I'm going to do brand new things. It may be just at any moment. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure, because we're going to do a new thing. I'm enjoying this. It's a different vibe and it's a different feeling when I see you there as opposed to whatever. And by the way, someone writes, I'm not a fan of Judge Knapp. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't really, I mean, that's your, I'm not a huge fan of Candace Owens, but I like to hear what she has to say. And I am also all ears when I'm saying they're trying to shut her down. Now I'm a fan. When you try to shut somebody down, now you've got my attention. I don't care who you are. Let them speak. If you don't like her, turn her off. That's all. I spend most of my days. I was listening to The Life of James Monroe. I heard David McCullough at a White House lecture series with George Bush on Harry Truman. One of the most fascinating. I think I was the only person on the planet listening to this. That's my gig. That's what I find, because I always find history now more relevant than ever, even from people who are demonstrably anti-Trump, which is 99% of the world. Bottom line is simply this. You are entitled to what you think. I've got a friend of mine who hates mushrooms. I love mushrooms. He hates them. Makes him sick. Can't take the taste, the feel, makes him gag. I love mushrooms. You know what? That's his opinion. Just don't ban them. All right, dear friends. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. And one more thing. Let me put this up to you also. On April the 4th, I'm going to put this up. I'm going to be at, and Mrs. L is going to be at the Metropolitan Republican Club with the lovely and talented Dick Morris. And we're going to be doing, what? I can't hear you. What? A fireside chat. Questions, whatever. I'm going to be there. I just said that. I'm going to be there, Mrs. L. And just not that it matters. We're doing this free. I mean, we're just spreading the word. Strategies for winning the future. Our good friend Sparky says, in addition, cui bono, we should ask Kur Nunc. Ooh, Kur Nunc. Is that what now? Let me see. Kur Nunc. Let me see. Is that what now? Kur Nunc. Hang on. Definition. Let me see this. Kur Nunc. I don't know what this means. Kur non. Quid nunc. Kur nunc. Now for then. Maybe you might explain to us what is Kur nunc, because cui prodest is another version of cui bono. In any event, Kur. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much. Stay subscribed. I'm going to be doing more stuff later. Have a great and glorious day. And remember the final words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Ta-ta.